In today's video, you're going to learn how to create this effect with Photoshop. So it's a bunch of different text with some images placed over it. So when you zoom out, you can actually see the image quite clearly. And when you zoom in, you can see the text. So you're going to learn all of this from start to finish. So make sure you watch until the end. And all the resources for this video will be in the description below. So we're going to be using this image here from pexels.com, and if you want to follow along with this tutorial, I'll leave a link to this image in the description below. So we're simply just going to right click and copy this image, and let's go into Photoshop, and we're going to click on create new right here. And Photoshop should automatically pick up the height and the width of the image that you just copied, but if it doesn't, it's 1200 pixels in width and 1500 in height. And that's all in pixels and 72 pixels per inch in resolution. So just click on create and just go to edit and click on paste, and there's our image. So there's two layers right here. So if you don't see this layers panel, just go to Windows and click on layers right here. So there's two layers. One layer is locked and it's a white background, so we need to change that to a black background. So I'm going to unlock this layer by clicking on this lock icon right there. So now it's unlocked, and I'm going to hide this top image layer. Just click on this little eye icon, and I'm just going to take a paint bucket and choose the color picker tool right here at the bottom and choose a black color, and let's just fill in this layer right here in black. And I'm just going to rename this layer to black, and I'm going to rename this one to portrait. So that's the image that we just pasted. So there we go. So first we need to make this a black and white image. So I'm actually going to keep an extra copy of the portrait image. I usually keep an extra copy just in case we can make a mistake. If we make a mistake, we can go back to the original copy. So we can hide the original copy, and we're going to turn the extra copy into a black and white image. So choose portrait copy, go to image, adjustments, and choose black and white. So that will automatically that will turn everything black and white, but you can also make it even more darker or even more lighter by playing around with these settings right here. There's also a few options right here, like darker filter or blue filters. You can choose the one that best suits you, or you can just click on default, and usually I'll just make this a little bit darker, maybe a little bit lighter around this. So I think it looks pretty good just about there. Maybe I think the lips are a bit too dark there, so maybe you can increase the pink a little bit, and I think it looks good just about there. So I'm going to hit OK. So here's our image. So now we need to add some text over this image. So to add the text, I'm going to use this website called loremipsum.io. So this just generates a bunch of text that you can use on your website designs or image designs or whatever it is. But if you have your own text to use, then you can go ahead and use that. So I'll leave a link to this website in the description below. So you can choose the number of paragraphs that you want. So I'm going to choose 15 paragraphs and click on generate, and it'll just give you 15 paragraphs here. Then you just click on copy, and now we're going to place the text over this image. So click on the text icon right here. That's the T icon. I'm going to click and drag. So don't just click, you have to click and drag and just draw a square just over the image. And this is the text so far. So we're just going to paste in the text that we just copied. So Photoshop will automatically put in some text in there, but that's not the text that we want. So I'm just going to press Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac, and there's the text. So what I want to do is I'm going to join all of these texts together, because I don't want all the paragraphs to be separate. So let's do that here. And if your text looks a little different or the line height looks a bit different, I'm going to show you how to change all of that soon. So I'm just going to join all of these together quickly. Actually, I'll just delete all of this right here, and I'll just copy and paste what we've got right here. So there we go. So that looks pretty good there. And so if your text looks different, what you need to do is just highlight the text. So I'm just going to highlight all of this, and you need to choose paragraph. So if you don't see this panel like paragraph and the character panel, just go to Windows and choose paragraph should be right here, and the character panel should be right here. So what you need to do is play around with the line height right here. The line height is like the two A's right here. So if you increase that, the line height increases. So what you need to kind of make sure they're all kind of huddled together, because the closer they are together, the better you can actually see the image within the text. So I'm going to make them all like real tight together, but not too tight. And I'm also going to make the letters and the space in between each letters to be quite tight as well. That's this VA icon right here. So already it's at 0, but we could try a little bit more, maybe something like that, I think. Yes, maybe -60. So I think that looks good there. So there's a little gap there as well. So let me just get rid of that. So we don't want any gaps, nothing in there. So I think that looks good so far. So we've got this text over it now. And what I also want to do is make the text go over the edges as well. So we can just choose the text layer right here and press Control T or Command T if you're on a Mac. And that will give you all of these controls to make the text bigger. So I'm just going to simply just make it go right over the image, right over the edges right here. I think that looks good. Let's hit enter. So now what we need to do is just have the text or the image within the text. So to do that, we're going to press and hold Control or Command if you're on a Mac. So if you're on a Mac, press and hold Command, and we're going to click on the text box right here. In the layers panel, this is the text box. So click right here, not here. So click on that. And what that will do is it will select everything that's within that layer. So everything that's within this layer is the text. So it just selected the outline of the text. And now we can actually hide this text layer. We don't actually need it anymore. So we've got this selection of the text, the shape of the text or the outline of the text. So now let's make an extra copy of the portrait copy layer. And I'm going to hide the original portrait copy or the black and white portrait copy. Let's hide that by clicking on the eye icon. And let's choose the second copy right here. So again, I usually make an extra copy just in case we make a mistake. We can go back to it. So choose this right here, the new copy that we just made, and click on the masking box. So what the masking box does is it keeps everything that is selected and it hides everything that is not selected. So what was selected before was the outline of the text. So it's kept the outline of the text and it's hidden everything else. So now you can just see the image inside of the text. So already we've got a good effect right here. So if I zoom out, you can actually see the image quite clearly. Now when you zoom in, you can see the text a bit more clearly. So that's how you place text inside of place an image inside of text. So there's actually one more step that you can take to make this image look even more realistic. So right now the text is just placed on top of the image. It's not really warping around the image, so it's not really wrapping around it. So we're going to use this tool called Liquify. So let me show you what I mean. So we're going to press and hold Control again or Command if you're on a Mac, and we're going to choose this box right here. So inside the extra copy that you created, there should be another box. That's called the masking box. So press and hold Control or Command and click on the masking box. And then we're just going to simply copy the text. So I'm going to press Control C to copy or Command C, or you can also go edit and click on copy. Make sure you're on the actual layer when you're copying, otherwise it won't copy the image inside the text. And then we're simply just going to press Control V or Command V to paste the image. So now we can hide the previous layer. So now we're just left with the image of the text inside the image. So now we can actually play around with this and kind of warp this and all of that. So choose this, and I'm going to rename this to warp. So I'm going to choose the warp layer and go to filter and click on Liquify. So what Liquify allows you to do is it kind of warps the image. So you can actually make it parts of the image kind of smaller, parts of it a little bit bigger. You can kind of put in like a bit of a perspective and all of that. So right here where it says show backdrop, you need to click this on and make sure it's on the background layer, which is black. So choose that. And we're going to choose one of these tools right here. So this is called the bloat tool. So what the bloat tool does is it just kind of bloats. When you click and hold, it just bloats a part of the image. Let's undo that. And you can also make the brush size a little bit bigger right here under brush tools option. So you can see it just kind of bloats it. So let's undo that as well. There's another one right here called the pucker tool. So that just kind of makes it smaller. And those are pretty much the only two tools that you need. So let's use the pucker tool, and right under her chin right here, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So we're going to try getting that effect of the image kind of wrapping around her chin. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you should try to go for like a nice different kind of a realistic looking effect. And you can also do that around her eyes right here. And again, you can make the brush sizes a little bit smaller so you can actually get into all those detailed parts. So let's make it a little bit bigger. So I actually think I didn't do that part properly, so I'm going to undo most of that. So let's just, to undo, just Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac. And I'm just going to make it slightly smaller, not too small. Let's make it just there as well. Maybe just around her nose as well, just around here. Use the pucker tool and just make it kind of warp around her nose. So I think that looks really good around her nose, but maybe we just need to fix parts of it around her eyes. But I think around her eyelids and her around her pupils and all that, maybe the text doesn't actually go well with it. So maybe we can actually reveal her eyes completely. We can do that later on, but let's just kind of warp this first. So let's make this go around her forehead, just there. So I think that looks good there as well. So I think it looks good around her chin. Maybe let's use the bloat tool to make it a bit bigger around her lips, just slightly bit bigger. Maybe just the bottom lip as well, maybe around her nose. Cool, so I think that looks pretty good. So now let's click OK. So here's what we've got. So before, this is what we had, and now we've got this. So I think that looks a bit more realistic, except the eyes, it kind of looks a bit off. So what I want to do is so this is what where keeping an extra copy actually comes in handy. So this is the original portrait copy that we had. So let's create another copy, and let's place that right here and reveal it. And what I want to do is actually place this on top, and I want to lower the opacity so we can see the text just behind it. So what we want to do is choose the masking box. So click on the masking box, and we're going to choose the paint bucket tool. Just choose a black color and paint it black. So that just hides the entire image. And we're going to choose the paintbrush tool and choose a white color. And we're just going to reveal the eyes. So if you don't know how the masking tool works, I've got some other videos, detailed videos on that. So I'll leave a link to them in the description below. So we're just going to slightly reveal the eyes and see what that looks like. Let's zoom out a little bit, so it looks good there. We're also going to hide the text there as well, but we'll do that later on. So I think that looks good. And again, if you want to see these kind of smooth edges, make sure the hardness of your brush is at 0%. So let's just get those nice edges right here on around her eyes. So there we go, that looks good. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, and now what we can do with this is we can actually hide this. So let's choose the paintbrush tool again, choose a black color to hide. And let's hide all of this right here. You can also use the eraser tool, but what the masking tool does is it doesn't just erase it, it just hides it. So if you make a mistake, you can get it back. But if you erase it and you make a mistake, it's just gone. So you have to kind of undo or do other things to get it back. So I think that looks much better now. So let's zoom out. So you can actually see her eyes a bit more clearly there. And let's also reveal that around here. Yeah, so I think that looks much better when you can actually see her eyes a bit more there. So that's how you create this image with Photoshop, this type of effect with Photoshop. If you have any questions, make sure you comment down below and I'll reply to you as soon as I can. But that's it for today's video. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do, and also hit that notification bell. And also make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I put out some really cool images on there. Both the links for my Instagram and Twitter are in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.